So when people normally see my art and they just like will pass by, whether it's a small piece or a large piece, they won't necessarily understand, the work and the intricacies and everything immediately off the bat. And that goes the same for myself in terms of people will just see a person and they won't understand that I have a super rare eye disorder that causes, I moved here because I can't drive, so I needed somewhere, and it impacts me every single day. And it's crazy that I chose a career in the arts, and one that involves a lot of intricacies. So it's nice to have a platform where I can talk about that talk about that to the community and the individuals that come and stop by and talk, and kind of be representation for the people, everybody that has this rare visual disorder, as educating people, educating the community, educating individuals, and so forth about the eye disorder, what it means to have a disability, and most importantly, that people with disabilities are not limited in their dreams, and they should not be dissuaded from trying to achieve their dreams just because they have a disability. It's all dots. It's going to be probably a couple million dots at the very least, and we use 4 colors of dots. Everything's applied in a single layer, so you got a layer of blue, and then a layer of yellow, and then a layer of magenta, and then a layer of black. It is simultaneous homage to Minneapolis and Twin Cities, as well as The Wizard of Oz, because this is a LGBTQIA owned business. Last year I was new to the city, just moved here, wanted to explore the neighborhood. I'm a big fan of supporting local businesses, and wanted somewhere to go just kind of do some art and set up and work. I mean, it is a 20-minute walk from my apartment. There are places that are closer, but I saw this one was gay owned, and I was like, ooh, that's cool. So came here a couple times, hung out, and then they closed for what was supposed to be, I guess, permanent closed. And then a couple months ago, I saw on Instagram that they are opening back up, and I immediately reached out and said, hey, you got that nice big old wall in there, can I put some art on it? And they said, sure, sounds good, let's make that happen. First mural. I think the closest thing in size that I've done has been like 3 feet by 3 feet, and this is 9 feet by 18 feet, so 162 square feet versus 9 square feet. Most of the time, when I find a space and I learn about the business, or I learn about the person, or whoever it is, I would say about 40% of the time an idea just immediately starts forming in my head. Sometimes it takes a little bit of extra work and it doesn't immediately click, which is fun but also frustrating. This time it kind of immediately clicked what I was going to do, and so I just spent about a week or so going over it in my head, forming it in my head, and then started doing rough sketches of like what it would look like, kind of in a grand scale, and then went in and did my normal process of any major characters that are going to be part of it, sketching out, putting them in the exact poses that I imagine that they're going to be in, doing any extra elements that needed to be, and then making any notes that needed to happen, and then draw it out fully in a small version to scale, and then put it on the wall. Animation, rubber hose, illustration, rubber hose, cartoon, whatever you want to call it. But rubber hose because it's named so because the limbs don't really have, like the legs and arms don't really have joints. They don't have like hard angles anywhere. Everything's very flowy and stuff like that. So it was made popular or created kind of by Max Fleischer and Fleischer Studios. They're the ones that came up with Betty Boop, Popeye, Coco the Clown, Bimbo, Gulliver's Travels. And I think that's all I can think of at the exact moment. And I think they had a hand also in creating Oswald, the mouse. I forgot what Oswald is, what he's supposed to be. But Oswald was kind of the predecessor to Mickey Mouse. So in the early iterations of Mickey Mouse looked different than how it looks. Like if you know Steamboat Willie, it's in this style. And then it's started to kind of veer off into its own style a little bit. It still has a little bit of the rubber hose, but it veered off. And then recently, it's kind of come back into vogue because of the video game and now Netflix show Cuphead. If I'm doing art, I'm going to try and have some sort of narrative. I'm going to have some sort of be challenging some sort of societal, political, or socioeconomic thing that needs to be discussed, even if it's just cartoons. Kind of like what exists, what you see now is kind of what's going to exist. Just adding color, basically. I have the spoon and the cherry from the sculpture garden. I have the kind of the representation of the two lakes from Loring Park, the two lakes and the bridge from Loring Park. I also have the Stone Arch Bridge going down the bottom with the Mississippi River weaving through it. I'm going to have the different neighborhoods written across the bottom. Neighborhoods in the greater Twin Cities areas, as many as I could fit in there, as well as landmarks as well. And we also have the loon, because Minnesota, loons. It's going to be a very loose representation of a moon, or a loon, to try and keep it in the same style of rubber hose animation with the birds. I also have the Minneapolis skyline, featuring the Wells Fargo building, Target Field, US Bank Stadium, the IDS building, Capella Tower, the Basilica, and I think that's it. And then I also have a representation of the North Star, L'Étoile du Nord, if you will, in a fun way. We also have a little heel down in the corner, a little red stiletto, and that is a sign. That's a double homage to the Ruby Slipper from The Wizard of Oz, as well as the Mother Cluckers and Muffin Top Cafe are also owned by the same people that own Nicolette Diner and Roxy's Cabaret, which if you've seen it, you know that there is a big old rotating red stiletto heel at the top. So kind of trying to tie not just the community, not just the greater Twin Cities, but also the businesses together as well. Okay, so everything is kind of loosely Wizard of Oz themed, as well as trying to play to the two businesses that this room connects. So you got Muffin Top Cafe as well as Mother Clucker's Pizza. So I wanted to have those characters represented. So I have chicken for Mother Clucker's Pizza, a coffee cup for the cafe, a muffin for the Muffin Top Cafe, and then, one more Minneapolis representation is Babe the Ox. So, have that as well. And then a little dog, too. So, I like to put in, besides the Minneapolis little homages and the characters being representations of, if you just come here as an outsider and you just walk in and look at a piece, you're not going to get it necessarily, or you might slowly start to get it, but local people will get it. And one thing that I wanted to, I just like to include little treats, little fun little things that you might not pick up the first time you look at it. It might take a couple looks, or you might take a picture of it and look at it later and start to see things. The most important thing for an artist is to try and get somebody to stand in front of your piece for as long as possible. So that's why I try and include fun little things. And as I said, one fun part about the rubber hose style of art is that it can get creepy, but in a fun way, in a cute way. So I did that, and so the trees, as well as all three characters besides the muffin, they are all looking at the muffin because they want to eat it. Because, yum. Everybody wants to eat it. Everybody wants to eat a muffin, and you can see the dog has already started. We, as in the people the able-bodied, shouldn't be looking for ways to dissuade people that have disabilities to look for new dreams. We should be looking for ways to help them, because every dream has a solution. There's a way to achieve it. And the number one thing that stands between us and reaching our dreams is all the people saying, maybe think of a different dream. Maybe think of one that's less hard work.